Hello and welcome back to a new video from my channel, from me, Dee Rom. I'm actually re-recording this video because when I recorded it the first time I had a weird camera angle and I just looked really weird and I couldn't get over it during editing, so I'm doing it again, but I'm hoping that maybe I'll have less editing to do because I know what I'm saying this time. And maybe I won't have to trip over my words so much. So let's just get right into it. So this video is going to be starting my new series of missing persons in Canada, like I've been speaking about. So I'm going to be extremely honest here. I've been following and researching this case heavily for, since around December. I really wanted to do this video sooner. I actually wanted to do it around March, which was the anniversary date of the person I will be speaking of. But I have just been so anxiety ridden about this case and actually posting it. And you'll probably see why once I talk about the case. But yeah, I've pushed all that aside and I'm ready to get this video out there for everybody to see and get more attention on this case like it deserves. It barely has any media coverage. CBC finally covered a little bit of it on the anniversary date of the missing person. So yeah, I'm ready to put all of the information in a timeline for you guys so you can understand exactly what's going on. So let's just get right into it. So British Columbia has the highest number of people that go missing over any other province or territory in Canada. According to the Government of Canada website, about 60% of adults that go missing are found within 24 hours and 90% being found within 1 week. Unfortunately, around March 20th, 2020, last year, Brandon Thomas, or Brandon Sakebow as it is listed on the government's website, went missing and has still not been seen or heard from since. So I'm just going to be referring to him as Brandon Thomas because that seems to be what his family has been referring to him on Facebook and such. So Brandon Thomas was born in 1996. He was 23 when he went missing. He has brown hair, black eyes, and he is 5'9". His significant tattoos are Lori on his right jaw and a heart on the front of his neck with a BT inside of it. The case reference number for this, for the RCMP, is 202-000-7857. So on March 21st, 2020, at approximately 10:37 a.m., Brandon Sakebow was seen for the last time in Mission, BC, after his home in Abbotsford burned down. He was communicating daily with his mother, who was trying to get him back to Saskatchewan on a bus. Brandon has not been seen or heard from since. That is what was said on the GOC website. Further investigation paints a much more dark and all too common picture in the Indigenous community. But to understand Brandon's personal situation and case, you need to know all of the information, of course. So Brandon was paroled from federal prison on February 28th, 2020, after serving some time. Why he served time doesn't matter. He had been staying at an Abbotsford halfway house when on March 14th, a fire started in the basement, causing intense damage to the home. It ended up leaving 5 people needing to relocate, and Brandon was one of them. His social worker was able to set him up at the Sandman Hotel in Abbotsford, and at some point he decided he wanted to go back home to Saskatchewan, where his mother and family lives. Lori, his mother, was trying to arrange a bus ride home for him at the time, but unfortunately, mid-March of 2020 was when the pandemic officially started in Canada, with lockdowns happening across the country. That made an already difficult situation much more difficult. From what the RCMP has officially stated, on March 21st at 12:30 a.m., the RCMP picked up Brandon at a Dewdney dairy farm after one of the employees discovered Brandon in the milking parlor around midnight. The owner stated, "We can't figure out when or how he came here. He told my husband, 'I'm lost,' but he couldn't really communicate. I wasn't exactly sure what they meant by this, but I'm assuming they meant that he was possibly intoxicated." They also added that about 40 minutes before Brandon was discovered, an unknown vehicle had pulled up to the property. I couldn't find any information at all on what type of vehicle this was, though. So the RCMP police officers took Brandon into the drunk tank around 12:30 a.m. on March 21st, 2020. The RCMP has stated that Brandon was released the next morning at 10:37 a.m. And that is the last alleged sighting of Brandon. Now, I'm saying allegedly because in my personal opinion, just because it's police record doesn't really matter. We're not supposed to ask any questions. It's supposed to be no questions asked when it is police record. But as I go further, you will see that there are tons of questions to be asked. From the outside, this looks like the typical man got brought into the drunk tank and released after he was arrested or whatever it was called. But once looking into this case for even 5 minutes, I would think it would be clear to anybody that something is seriously wrong. Lori Thomas is Brandon's mother. She lives on the Pelican First Nation in Saskatchewan. Lori and Brandon had a close as relationship as possible when living 23 hours away from each other. They spoke every single day by phone call or text with Brandon, making sure he always said good night or good morning. Good night and good morning. Lori's last message from Brandon was received on March 20th at around 3 p.m. She never received her good night message that night and never got a good morning message the 21st when he was supposedly released from the RCMP custody. When Lori's birthday came and went on March 25th, 2020, with no words at all from Brandon. So when Lori's birthday came and went on March 25th with no words at all from Brandon, of course they had already been worried about him from not hearing from him since the 20th. But when Lori's birthday came and went on March 25th, Brandon's aunt Deborah knew something wasn't right and filed a missing persons report with the Mission RCMP detachment the very next day on March 26th. The RCMP stated, using this photo, remember it's very important, they were looking for Brandon on March 27th and that he hadn't been seen or heard from since March 22nd. Yes, you heard that right, March 22nd. When in reality, no one had heard from him since the 20th, and the RCMP say that he was released on the 21st, meaning that they were the last people to see or hear from him on the 21st, not the 22nd. Now, not only has the dates and times from the RCMP changed on multiple occasions, they also failed to tell Lori that apparently Brandon's bag holding his cell phone, wallet, identification, and clothes, everything he owned, was found in a stolen van that was abandoned on 3rd Avenue in Mission, BC on March 24th. Lori only found out in July on the 3rd trip to BC. But the RCMP said they didn't even find the bag till more than a month later. I don't know how that you found a stolen van and then you didn't search it. That is what I've interpreted from that. But I digress. And not only did Lori just find out about the bag months later, his cell phone's SIM card was missing and his Facebook account had been completely erased. So another thing, during their search for Brandon, they got in contact with his social worker, and she said that Brandon had started a welfare application on March 7th, but neither her nor anyone at her work had heard from him since March 20th. Now, living so far away, Lori and her family had not only the huge weight of knowing Brandon's missing, they had to find their way to BC to do any kind of search amongst the pandemic. Lori's first 3 trips, which were in March, June, and July, 2 of the trips lasted 3 weeks, and the RCMP were well aware that she was traveling there. But for those first 3 trips, not one time did Lori get to speak with the lead investigator, but was instead put in front of an officer who really didn't know anything at all. It's her words. When I read this, I was a little bit shocked, and then I wasn't. Because this is just the typical situation you hear when it's involving an Indigenous person, which is the exact reason why I wanted to cover this case so badly. I can't help but think, what if this was some little rich girl that went missing? What if her family had money to put it out there all over the place that she was missing? Maybe this would be a whole different story, but it shouldn't be a different story based on the person or their situation. Like, this is a person and they're missing. That is all that should matter. It should be blasted all over the place, as well as all the other missing people. I'm gonna continue before I get too heated. Now, since September 2020, Lori has made 6 trips to BC, and on the last trip, Lori and other family members sat down with the lead investigator to review footage of Brandon from inside the holding cell. The moment the person walked into view, they all knew it wasn't Brandon. Brandon is covered in tattoos, as you can clearly see, and any person with common sense can see. And the person showed to them is 1000% not Brandon, with Lori stating that I knew that wasn't my son the second he walked into frame. The RCMP's statement back about this is, they're fairly confident the person in the video is Brandon. Although the person in the video did not have a wallet or cell phone, officers are trained on how to confirm ID, and also saying he provided information to the officers when they dealt with him. Lori has offered them a blood sample on multiple occasions just in case of the worst possible scenario, but the RCMP has refused each time, stating it is necessary at this time. So back when Deborah had reported Brandon missing, they actually offered many photos of him, but the RCMP had refused and stated his mugshot will do. Well, that mugshot is now the photo you see when you look up Brandon Sakebow or Brandon Thomas, was actually his passport photo. And how do we know this? Because it was in the bag with all his other things, apparently found on March 24th in the abandoned van. So if you didn't catch that, I'm going to shorten up and summarize it for you. The photo the RCMP is claiming to be his mugshot is actually a passport photo that technically would be impossible for them to have if they only found the bag 3 days later on the 24th after he was released from their custody. I know the question could be made, he had the bag when he was arrested. Well, I just told you that would mean that the officers are already being untruthful, because they had stated when he was found, he didn't have anything on him, not even ID. So, of course, he wouldn't have a passport photo. And as you can see, this passport photo had a receipt. So, this photo is not a mugshot. I personally don't know if that is possible to use a photo that's not taken right there in the precinct at the time of the arrest to use as a mugshot. I don't know. Please fill me in if I'm wrong, or if this is possible. I really don't think it is. I've never heard this being done, but please correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm just going to go point by point on all of these little problems here that make up to one huge missing person problem. Mission RCMP made a statement on March 27th that they were looking for Brandon, who was last seen on March 22nd, which is the wrong date. The RCMP refused extra photos of a missing person, saying his mugshot will do, which is just ridiculous. The mugshot used is actually a passport photo. Hi, baby.
Hi.
Did you have a good nap?
Yeah.
Every time, I swear. All right. The RCMP refused extra photos of a missing person, saying the mugshot will do, which I personally find ridiculous. The mugshot used is actually a passport photo. The passport photo was supposed to have been found over a month later. The family does not get to sit down with a lead investigator until after the third trip. RCMP shows a video of a different person in custody that is not Brandon. Now, to me, the red flags in this case are unbelievable. And it's against the people that are supposed to be searching for Brandon to serve and protect all of us. Brandon Thomas is a son and an uncle and a brother, a grandson, a friend, a family member, and a loved one. And all Lori wants to do is see her baby boy again, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. The cost of travel and searching is growing, and so they have started a GoFundMe and an account for Brandon, which I am going to leave in a link down below for both of them. So yeah, that's basically all of the information for this case. No new information has come up since those few days of him at the precinct. So this case is really heartbreaking. Of course, I would like to say, if you have any information, please give it to the Mission RCMP. But I don't even know if that's a good thing to do. I can't imagine what it feels like to not only have your baby go missing, but have to have the people that are supposed to be trained and that took an oath to serve and protect are the very people that you can't even trust, which is all too much of a reality for a lot of people across Canada. The systemic racism in Canada is extremely prevalent if you just look into it. And it is our duties, not as just Canadians, but as humans, to stand up and protect our fellow humans that have been wronged by an extremely broken system that hails protection, but it's all freaking deception. So if you want to help, you can donate to one of those links. You can share Brandon's missing persons photo. You can print it right off yourself. Mission BC is actually on the very close to the border of the United States. So if you just look it up on a map, maybe you're actually close to it if you're watching this video in the United States. But yeah, you never know where he could be right now. So if you do want to, you could print off his video, post it wherever you possibly can, stick it up at your workplace. Honestly, the more people that have his face in their memory, maybe if he is just walking around somewhere, maybe somebody will see him and they recognize him. You can also share this video so people can know his full story. I hope I did it justice. My personal message to Lori and his family is I hope that I did this video justice. I hope I did your family right by this. I absolutely mean no disrespect at all. I personally have been following Brandon's case for a very long time. I'm very personally and emotionally attached to it. And so if he is found, if there are any updates, I have no problem doing another video. The only reason I did this video is because I personally felt like there was not enough media coverage on it. And that's what missing people need. Thank you for watching, and that's it. Bye.